Oh,
Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And we're doing another episode of What If. Whenever Shane has an idea of like, wow, this would have been a cool movie, then I get people to try to figure out what they would do with it. And joining me are my two friends, Dave and Mike. Thank you both so much for coming on.
thank,
Thanks for having
thank you for
us.
having us.
Mike is only slightly dying, but he is here because he was that excited to talk about this topic. And what our what if scenario is. What if Chad Stahelski, who was a stuntman for Brandon Lee, was a stunt coordinator on plenty of films, but now most famously is the director of all four John Wick movies. But what if he made Mortal Kombat? And this is an exciting one. And the reason I asked Mike and Dave to come on for this one is I'm pretty sure I talked to either of you besides my friend Bobby about Mortal Kombat more than anybody. But the three of us have a very special experience with the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie because back in college, we had the Art of Gaming Club and they threw a movie night which had three people in attendance, us. And we watched Mortal Kombat in a whole lecture hall with a microphone and did our own commentary to the movie. So, and now we're like, but what if it was better? Because I love that 95 Mortal Kombat movie, but there's
But
problems. But there's problems.
like how they
So,
handle Reptile.
ugh, that's definitely one that I have changed my idea of the movie. But what I'm gonna do is so obviously we're not having Paul W.S. Anderson direct this, of
Yeah, no.
all the Resident Evil movie fame and Event Horizon and a lot of other like bad movies.
I
But
considered having Mila Jovovich just because he's not doing it.
that would have been a funny like but she wasn't even in his version of this movie. It's like, haha. But I figured we'd each go around and kind of give our perspective on this. So Mike has a blurb, and he's gonna go first.
Okay, so I wrote this at like 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm surprised it's coherent. But I, s- so I said one of the big things about the John Wick universe is that it's very much a large world with a lot of systems that aren't important until it's time for us to know about them. Our introduction to John Wick is he's a tired, sad man in a dark yet white house with a small dog. He's quiet, he's alone, he loves his dog. That's all we know. And then his small pleasures are taken and he burns down the world over the course of 5 movies that builds his legends and a TV show that builds that world. So I think as a Stahelski movie, Mortal Kombat movie, shouldn't explain anything about the Mortal Kombat universe until we need to know about it. And then I also wrote in there that I realized that the exposition for John Wick was just like anime characters talking about fights while everybody's already watching the fight. Like, oh, John Wick is super dangerous and does all this while we're just getting cuts to him cracking a sledgehammer to the floor. Yeah, I see. I see. So the blurb part that I realized halfway through was like, I know how to write screenplays. I guess I can do that. Hooray for that class. But I said so the image I have is that whoever the protagonist is, Johnny Cage is who I was trying to force myself to imagine, wakes up face down on what appears to be a table. His surroundings are blurry, there's little blood on his face, his head is ringing, so that's probably what we hear when the camera pops from black straight to that close up, probably with the sound from the studio cards as the movie started up. He gets up unsteady as his surroundings flicker. Another close up on as he smacks his face trying to clear his head, remembering a wild night drinking, remembering a rough fight on the streets, and it isn't until we get a zoom out in the ring that's what we find out he's in the middle of that fight and got thrown through a window into a bar and grill place. He groans and he cracks his assailant with a chair, revealing he's fighting some sort of colorful ninjas while he's in most of a tuxedo with one sleeve missing and a torn pant leg. Son of a bitch, he growls, which is both thematically accurate and a small treat for Supernatural fans because I chose Jensen Ackles to be Johnny Cage.
Nice.
Um, so they go into a fight scene with the camera angles Chad's known for 1v3 fights. Until the colorful ninjas start doing what their colors stand for. Then he jumps back like, holy shit! as a blue ball flies from somewhere behind him and freezes one, which he then does the green dash kick and shatters the ninja, and then slush texture blood plops to the ground. So I said basically, if a Mortal Kombat movie handled the way that John Wick does, it would start with the invasion of Outworld already happening with no explanation of what's going on until we need to know that. The bad ninjas would be ninjas that everybody recognizes, as would the one that helped Johnny, but none of them are Scorpion or Sub-Zero. He's being helped by Frost. It's Mortal Kombat, not the eventual aftermath of Bihan and Hanzo killing each other's families. That being the premise of the last Mortal Kombat movie was stupid. Okay, that's the blurb.
Okay. So I appreciate the setup and everything. How I was imagining it, I also kind of imagine that we're kind of being dropped into things. I'm imagining like I'm still using a lot of I would still use a lot of the original framework of the 95 movie, except I feel like we're on the boat. Like that's where we start off, and just through casual conversation between these characters, we start to realize like what this is all about. And my approach to the movie would be actually making a tournament. Because do either of you understand the bracketing or anything from that first Mortal Kombat movie? Because I feel like they just have random fights.
They The main thing with the original Mortal Kombat movie, thinking back on it, is it was more or less a revenge story for Liu Kang, and everybody else was
Yep,
just there.
fair. I'm imagining like an actual tournament. There's going to be brackets, and we can build up fights because we know what fights are coming.
Yeah. Like I think they
Because
tried to do that for the first one, but seeing as all the first Mortal Kombat game was look, there's like seven
fight
guys.
tower.
Fight them. And now there's some dude with four arms we never mentioned. Fight him too. Kick the shit out of this old man. The end.
Like they obviously have to introduce Goro pretty early because, like, he's not the final boss, but like he's
Yeah.
that really annoying in Mortal Kombat 4 where it's like, sure, when I finally beat Goro, I actually beat Shang Tsung, but like I could never get to him because he was the second to last character in the game on the N64.
And I know we can
But
handle Goro better than 2021 did.
that was probably the most frustrating thing about that movie is they make Goro somebody that this random protagonist beat in like a minute.
They
It's
should
just
have
like
had it be Motaro.
I did not spend countless hours getting my ass kicked in Mortal Kombat 4 on the N64 to watch Goro get taken out like that and
I
without
mean,
any buildup.
to be fair, the way they dropped Goro in the first Mortal Kombat, I beat him by just repeatedly doing the jump kick to the face of Liu Kang. It was just like a minute of kicking him in the face, and then I did the same thing to Shang Tsung, and that's how I beat the first Mortal Kombat.
My hope in this one is that the puppet is more functional so we can actually get a longer fight um than what we got in the 95 movie because that also was not long, but at least they built that character up to something and got a fun one-liner from Johnny Cage. But like my biggest thing is I want like an actual bracketed tournament. I want them to treat these characters like they're like the main characters as like actual equals, and
Mhm.
these fights better be long and crazy choreographed, and they're gonna be awesome because the action's gonna be the real set piece of this movie. Because we didn't just get Chad Stahelski to make this movie to make it about the plot,
Yeah.
which is also why like I just want the tournament because like I don't need a complex plot for this movie. This movie doesn't need a complex plot. They're fighting for, the fate of the world in a martial arts tournament. There we go. Bada boom. How about you, Dave? What are some of your hopes and expectations for this movie?
Well, I definitely agree that it doesn't really need to get too bogged down in the details of the plot, especially, if we're going at it as a movie from Chad Stahelski, then, you know, you instantly draw those parallels to John Wick and those movies where, I'm not saying the plot's bad in them, but it takes like a backseat to, the high intensity, long drawn out combat sequences. And, you know, if a movie only has like, a set run time of let's say around 2 hours or so, I want to go into this movie knowing like the majority of that screen time is going to be the fighting. So, you can spend a little time laying out the framework, but I feel like there doesn't need to be like a slow burn at the beginning to introduce everyone and or like have a training montage or that kind of thing. Like, we want to get like into the tournament action. And like you said, I think it would benefit from having, at least like a structured tournament and, at least having the time to like go through that at a good pace. Like what comes to mind as like a recent movie I've seen where that didn't work so well was the most recent Karate Kid movie where like I wanted to see like it gets to the end and it's like, oh cool, they're having this big tournament, and then it just like rushes through the
Speed
whole
runs.
thing. And I'm like, I would have liked at least a little more tension. And so I think, if it's just like focusing on the choreography of all these fights that go on, and it could just be even as simple as a revenge plot. Like the first John Wick was, he was retired, they came into his house and attacked him, killed his dog, and he went and got revenge on these guys. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the plot, and that's fine. Like what you remember most about those movies is just all the awesome scenes with Keanu Reeves going in and messing up all these guys. So
Mhm.
I think at least I think that's what would appeal to a broader audience too, because if you get too bogged down in like the details, obviously it's great having that appeal to like super fans of the franchise. But I feel like to make the movie successful and appeal to a broader audience, it would benefit from not focusing too much on those details and just making it, just a fun action movie.
So there's sequels that we can build out this world and get crazier into the lore. We just need to hook the audience and deliver some badass action this time.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as like Liu Kang wakes up on this boat, walks out, and he sees the island, and then it's a quick cutaway to like Shang Tsung is like, "Your their soul is mine." Boom. There you go. It's 2 seconds. We got it.
Just
We
like
understand.
flickering their motivations.
Yep. Boom. Easy setup. This is Mortal Kombat. We're not doing Hamlet. Let's get to the action. So I'm imagining because like I don't want this like I would watch a 4 hour version of this movie, but to be like a 2 hour version of this movie, I feel like the tournament would have to be like maybe not like an actual like bracket where people move on, but it's like one like each team gets a point for whichever fight that they win and keep it simple. Just for runtime's sake. Because if you had a whole entire tournament where each of these fights got like a good 5 to 10 minutes of action, I'm like, this is gonna start piling up. So I would imagine like each of them has their opponent similar to like basically like because how many of them had like actual multiple fights in the first film? I think it would be like trying to spread it out a little bit. But let's get down to some casting. So I don't think we're gonna cast a white Frenchman as Raiden this time, despite the fact that Christopher Lambert was hilarious because I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
Hilarious, but not what we're going for here. Raiden can still be snarky and funny, but just probably Asian. But who do we have cast as Raiden?
I honestly I chose Robin Show who played Liu Kang in the first one.
Oh, I think that's a lot of fun.
Because I like obviously he aged out of Liu Kang even though he looks almost exactly the same. But I think it would be interesting to have him be Raiden instead, seeing as in the most recent Mortal Kombat game, they rewrote reality and Liu Kang, rather than being the god of the universe, decided that he just wanted to be the new Elder God for Earthrealm instead.
Nice. I like that. That's a lot of fun. That's a fun idea. How about you, Dave?
Well, this Okay, this wouldn't really be my pick. I just kind of thought this was funny in that I feel like this is something Hollywood might do, and that they would pick Chris Hemsworth.
The best part of that is nobody watching would take it seriously because, like, oh, they just made Thor be a thunder god again.
Yeah,
But Chris Hemsworth would probably take it seriously,
yeah, he would.
and he would probably
Like,
have so much fun
I'm
with
not
it.
saying he would do a bad job of it or anything, but you see where I'm coming from.
Like, he's
Dave
barely
gets
older than us. If he played video games, he's probably played Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Dave gets points for creativity, and that's hilarious.
That's great.
I would actually want to see him dressed up like Christopher Lambert and like deliver some of the same lines because I think you would have a lot of fun doing it. So I'm going John Wick alum, Donnie Yen, I want to have as Raiden because I think he'd be able to, if they did want to play around and have him be a little bit funny still, I think he could do that. Also, like, he could actually kick some ass too. And he has that presence and everything. So, kind of his opposite side here with Shang Tsung, who honestly is one of the best parts of the entire movie because him just delivering all the catchphrases and stuff from the game is just great. Flawless victory. But Mike, who do you have for Shang Tsung?
Due to the fact that I didn't want to just throw the last guy at it for like the fifth time, I didn't come up with anybody for Shang Tsung. But like, he still does it though. He came back to be Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 11, so he probably would if you asked him.
I honestly also would not be against that casting, honestly, because I think he'd still be great. So there you go. How about you, Dave?
Okay, I went with this pick, one, because he's from the John Wick universe, and two, because I just really wanted him to have some kind of role in this movie, which I realized after thinking about it, I was like, oh, he actually was in the newer Mortal Kombat. But anyway,
Yep.
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yes, so he was Scorpion in the new one. And I love that casting too, because he would also be great.
Yep.
And now I want to see him fight Chris Hemsworth.
Yes. That would be amazing.
Raiden is so swole in this Mortal Kombat.
Chris Hemsworth does ratings, but instead of him striking with lightning, he just breaks their fucking ribs on contact.
Now I'm just imagining Chris Hemsworth as Goro, and you just add puppet arms and just have his regular body just be Goro because he's enormous.
My
So,
notes for Goro are similar to that. Just I picked somebody else to be Goro because my last notes were what I said for Goro, and I flat said because I think it would be funny.
so actually, let's just segue into that because we're already doing that. So I think this is the most fun character to figure out how you're going to do the character. So, Mike, what is your Goro going to be?
Vin Diesel.
So is he
All they have to do is CGI him some arms. They don't have to change his voice. That's all they've got to do. Just give that man some extra arms, and he's already Goro.
so your idea is to it just be Vin Diesel, except they CGI another pair of arms in.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like that.
there you go. Uh, Dave, what's your idea for Goro?
In the similar vein of just going with a large hulking human, I would go with The Rock.
No, but then they wouldn't be able to beat him.
True. That's
He
the only problem.
what Dave is actually adapting is Mortal Kombat 4. No one's gonna beat Goro and nobody's gonna finish this game.
I thought of
This,
something as we moved on. Just Vin Diesel Goro walks out. I'm here to kill your family.
Damn. So
in this
I
version,
wanted
Goro is the hero.
I wanted a different approach. What I'm imagining is like the actor who played the Mountain from Game of
Oh,
Thrones
yeah.
That's a
with
big dude.
practical puppetry, other pair of arms that are like mechanically remotely controlled, but they make him up so he looks like Goro, and then Josh Brolin voices him. So
Ooh,
That
okay.
that dude's voice gets around.
it sure does. He's a very consistently working actor, especially his voice. But no, I just imagine like that big booming voice, and then legitimately hulking man would make a lot of sense because then we could play off of that whole entire fight that Pedro Pascal has with the mountain in Game of Thrones. And I want to see Goro pop somebody's head.
I thought you were about to say that Pedro Pascal's in this movie somewhere, and it never even
Nope.
occurred to me to do that. It
I
never even occurred to me to do that. Now I wish I did. It would have been hilarious. Just have him be one of the ninjas so no one even knows it's him.
just have him be Kano.
I did pick a Kano, but it's not Pedro
Yep.
Pascal.
We'll get there. So then I feel like we have to do the big three now: Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade. Um, so who are we casting as Liu Kang?
I also couldn't think of anybody for Liu Kang since I was still hunting for actors who were martial artists, and Amazon's like John Clovett. No! Stop that!
Well, I went with going back to a movie I mentioned earlier, the star from the most recent Karate Kid, Ben Wong. I was
Oh,
I was trying
oh,
to think of
fun
like
fact, that kid's 30, almost 30.
he
So
looks
like,
younger than that, like a lot younger.
but that's okay because he's actually almost 30, so we could just go with
That reminds me, when I was looking up the actors from the last few Mortal Kombat movies to see if I would want to use any of them again, the guy that played Liu Kang in the 2021 one, he's 37, but he played Zack in the last live action Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. And I didn't even make that connection.
wow.
The only thing I had against him just being Liu Kang again was his swollenness to head proportions were weird.
Just not doing it for Mike. So I went with a pretty famous um actor based off of Marvel in a kind of similar role, I guess you would say. And I picked Chimu Liu to be my Liu Kang because
I like
he hasn't done anything with Shang-Chi in a while.
yeah,
Um
which is a shame. I
finally
liked that movie.
finally gonna be in Doomsday, but
Out of
like
Yes.
nowhere.
they'll build up stuff. They got a year and a half to finish this movie and 3+ hours of runtime to it. But like I think he would be a lot of fun. He'd be charismatic, and I think like obviously he did a really fine job as Shang-Chi as well. So I went in that direction. This is probably one of the most fun castings. Who's gonna be our Johnny Cage? Oh yeah, well Mike already mentioned who is Johnny Cage is.
Yeah, I picked Jensen Ackles
That's a
because
great pick though.
I was like if they're fine with having him be in that age range, it might as well be him because he already knows martial arts from his like 13, 14 years on Supernatural.
There we
So
go.
he'd be able to do the kicks and stuff.
If my brother Ethan is watching, he'll be very happy because he's the biggest Supernatural fan that I know.
That's why
So,
the son of a bitch.
Dave, who do you have as Johnny Cage?
So this one I had to do like a little research just to get like some ideas online of like who I thought might be a good fit. And one that stuck out to me for this role actually was Glenn Powell.
Oh my God. Speaking of also somebody who's getting around, um,
Yeah.
Glenn Powell would be perfect because he is so damn charismatic. And I feel like he'd be the kind of guy that would commit to actually learning how to do some of the stunts and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So go Glenn Powell. I went much smaller name. but somebody who could actually do all of these stunts and martial arts. I went with Scott Atkins, aka Hilla from John Wick Chapter 4, but not in a fat suit this time. Mr. Wick. Um, he is an incredible martial artist and a badass action movie star, except most of his action movies go to VOD, which is sad to me. But I think he would be perfect. I think he has the right vibe for it. And, getting some more John Wick alum here as well. How about I'm guessing we're not gonna go with Miss Veronica Vaughn from Billy Madison like they did in the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie for Sonya Blade, but who are we going with? How about you, Mike?
Let's see. You can get her name. When I went looking to see people of that age that could do that, I picked a stunt woman I found named Chloe Bruce.
Okay.
Because from how she looks and just like the pictures of what she was doing in her martial arts, if she had blonde hair, she basically just is Sonya Blade.
Nice.
Or are you just
Let's
looking her up or just typing it in?
I did not look her up, but it's funny because I also picked a stunt woman.
Like I was initially picking Sonya and Johnny based off of if their daughter Cassie was going to be in it, but eventually I was like, you know what? I feel like Jensen and Chloe are young enough that I don't need that lady. Get out of here.
There you go. Like I said, I also picked a stunt woman, but she's actually a pretty famous stunt woman and has had actual acting roles in a bunch of Quentin Tarantino movies, and it's Zoe Bell.
Yeah.
She's a Kiwi. She's from Death Proof, and she's popped up in both The Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But she's also the bride's stunt woman in the Kill Bill movies.
I hope we let her wear shoes. I was trying to keep a straight face, but I couldn't do it.
God. Let's remember Quentin Tarantino is not directing this Mortal Kombat movie. So, but no, Zoe Bell was my pick. I think she'd be badass in this. How about you, Dave?
Well, for this one, when I was trying to think of it, I still had Marvel on the mind after Chris Hemsworth. I was like, because I see a lot of Marvel movies, so that's like where my mind goes for action films. So I was like,
Uh-huh.
well, who's been in one of those movies recently that's not too old to play the part? And the one that came to mind for me was Florence Pugh,
Pew 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 pew.
which I guess, I mean, Sonya Blade's supposed to be American, right? And what's she, British?
I
But
picked a Kiwi, so she's from New Zealand and has a
but
very thick
yeah,
accent. So
but I mean, we have characters or actors and actresses fake accents all the time, like
yeah.
Tom Holland for Spider-Man. So
So I specifically want Zoe Bell to have her Kiwi accent. So when she beats the shit out of Kano, it's a Kiwi versus an Aussie fight. Because I feel like that would add some dimensions to this legend right here. So, which I'm gonna say right now, one of the changes I would make to this movie is make Jax actually one of the fighters that show up with them already with the metal arms and everything. Did either of you pick a Jax?
I tried. I was leaning towards the black dude from John Wick 4.
Okay,
oh,
I think that would be cool.
yeah, I didn't get that
Um,
far down the list of casting, but I like that.
I wrote down a list of the characters that I would want to have actors for and then was struggling to find any. I did also almost have
fair.
Florence Pugh for Sonya, but I was like, let me not do that. She's busy.
Dave's gonna have the busiest canvas.
Yeah.
um, I picked Michael Jai White because one, he actually can do all these things, and I want him to be in a big budget movie because he deserves better than his career tanking as a leading man because of Spawn.
I
So
wasn't sure if I could use him because he showed up on the same list as like I want people who are acting today, who are relevant, who are in their 30s, and the list that he was on also gave me Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I wasn't sure if it was legit. So that's why my Jax is
Michael
not
Jai
written
White
down.
looks great. He could be whatever age we want to try to convince the audience that he is.
Like he does look
Um,
great. I just wasn't sure how old he was supposed to be because of the presence of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme just shows up as Goro in
It's
our
like
movie.
I'm sure he was a fantastic actor back when he was doing that in his prime, but the man's aging like a bleached tire. So not him.
Like, I don't think he's been in a big movie that since probably Expendables 2, where he was the villain, and then he was voice acting in Kung Fu Panda 2 because he was Master Croc. So that's probably the most relevant Jean-Claude Van Damme has been in movie wise in a while from like a big blockbuster standpoint.
What if you put
So
this video out and then Jean-Claude Van Damme saw me call him a bleached tire and he just comes after me after this?
we'll try to defend you, Mike. We'll try. Um, Next up is Kitana.
I also didn't get that far because I wasn't 100% sure how to handle Katana. Because I know that she's not
Better
in
than in better than in the 95 movie.
she's not in the first Mortal Kombat, but lately they've just been like, oh, Katana's just the love interest of Liu Kang, and she's supposed to be so much more than that. I just hadn't even really decided whether or not she was going to be relevant in a movie like this.
I was still working kind of with the framework of the original film. I would beef her role up more and also make her more interesting of a character
Like,
because
seeing as she's
she's
supposed to
not.
be the princess of Outworld.
Yep. I picked Manger Zhang, who was Shang-Chi's sister
Oh.
in that movie. And I thought that she was really badass. And, eventually maybe we'll actually see her be the leader of the Ten Rings in something. Since they teased that, like, was that only
Years.
4 years ago? That was
I
2021, wasn't it? It feels so much longer because how many
It
goddamn
does.
Marvel movies and shows have come out since then?
Jeez.
That's weird that that's only 4 years. Um, we're in a time warp since 2020. But no, I think she would be a fun casting. Dave, did you think of Katana?
Yeah, so again, going back to casting from John Wick movies, because I would love to see her in another movie because I really liked her role in John Wick 4, Rina Sawayama.
Badass.
That
Also,
whole opening sequence, like the whole part in Japan was just like one of my favorites in that movie. It was just amazing.
I think the whole section in Japan in John Wick Chapter 4 is like my favorite part of any John Wick movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
so good.
so cool. And I was trying to go as consistently as possible with Chinese actors, which is
I,
why I didn't. I was really trying my hardest with that, which is also why I had to make some adjustments to two of these characters, which may be controversial, but we'll get there. But I would totally cast her as Katana. She would be badass and awesome. Also, I love her music, and I would totally go see her concerts. And I can't wait for her to be in the Kane spinoff. So,
oh, that's
speaking of
right.
Kane, oh, who do we have for our? You're welcome. So Mike, who did you cast as Kano?
I would rather Carl Urban be Kano than Johnny Cage.
Oh my God! So then he could act like Butcher from the boys because I want to see that.
I I actually also picked Carl Urban.
So
Like the guy they got for Kano last time didn't do a bad job. I just think Carl Urban basically is Kano.
I feel like
Crack a
if
metal plate on that man's face, and that's Kano.
he channels that Butcher energy from the boys easy, he'd be one of the best parts of this movie. Yet again,
Also,
because Kano has consistently been one of the best parts of all these movies.
that does also unintentionally pit a member of the boys against one of the supers from the boys because Jensen Ackles is in that too.
Soldier Boy.
I don't know if they
There you
fight each
go.
other or not because I've never seen the boys, but
Yes. There are parts where they have conflict. And they might again, because the last season, Soldier Boy is supposed to come back.
Uh,
Um, my Kano. So I hated this actor for a while. He has been redeemed because one, him playing another Australian character in a big budget movie, action movie, but also he was wild in this new horror movie, Dangerous Animals, where he plays a serial killer who feeds women to sharks and gets off on it. His name is Jai Courtney. I think he actually has charisma that has been masked for years in crappy roles up to this point. But him as Captain Boomerang was a lot of fun, and he was great in Dangerous Animals. And I think if you give him a fun role like this, he'd have a lot of fun with it. So I'm going Jai Courtney for that one. Okay, so now we're getting to the last three roles that I have are, the color trio of ninjas, basically, because Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Reptile. And like I said, if anybody had either of you have any other castings you want to throw out there. So I'm going to start with this for Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I changed their backstories. Took a little bit from the new Mortal Kombat, where they have been doing this for a long time, and that they're a little bit more aged fighters. I picked Jackie Chan and Jet Li to be my Scorpion and Sub-Zero because I want to see them. Well, to be fair, you wouldn't really see them, but you'd
yeah.
see their action doing it and stuff like that. So I think it would be a lot of fun. How about you, Mike?
So for one, I hadn't gotten to Reptile yet because of the way I was doing my casting. Since I was thinking in terms of how the John Wick universe worked, where things built out as you learned.
Hmm.
I was picking my casting based off of every faction existing, but us not hearing about them until we had to. So
Okay.
I was focused on the Lin Kuei period, and then also Scorpion since there's just him. So for Scorpion, I actually chose Louis Tan, who played Cole in the last Mortal Kombat
Okay.
movie. Because I figured rather than having him be some random non-existent relative of Scorpion, just have him be Scorpion. It's not like they're ever going to let him actually talk. They're just going to do the Ed Boon voice for him.
Get over here.
But I figure for the sake of people not getting pissed off that he's in it at all and they just don't just assume Cole's going to be in it, don't even say anything about his name until the credits roll. And then when people find out that he was Scorpion doing all of the stunts and shit himself to see that he can do it if he got to be somebody for real, I think he deserves that chance. But I didn't have anyone for Sub-Zero for the express purpose that I wanted to have both Sub-Zeros be active at the same time, and I wanted them to be twins. And it's hard to find actors like that. So I hadn't figured out how to handle. I had him as Sub-Zero 1 and 2 because just Bi-Han
Okay.
and then whatever the hell the second one's name was. And then Bi-Han eventually becomes Noob Saibot when
Okay.
Scorpion kills him. So I did also cast Frost, who is the second Sub-Zero's apprentice, but we can get back to that.
Okay. How about you, Dave? Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile.
I guess just to go off of what we were talking about earlier when we were talking of our castings of Sonata and Donnie Yen, I guess this is where I would have to put my Donnie Yen
Nice.
because I too was like, he needs to be somewhere in this movie. So since since I flip flopped Sonata from his role as
Mhm.
Scorpion in the newer version, I guess this is where I would put him.
How old
Nice.
is Donnie Yen?
Good question.
Probably late 50s,
Let's see.
maybe, but it doesn't matter because my God, that man's still
Like
ridiculously
the
fit.
only reason I didn't pick Donnie Yen for I almost said Johnny Yen. Donnie Yen for any of my roles is I wasn't sure like it would be a crime to not let him be funny, but none of the roles I wanted to give him are funny people.
Fair.
And that's the only reason I didn't cast Donnie Yen as anything.
He didn't
Fair
want
enough.
like Scorpion to start throwing quips at people. It's
Donnie
like,
Yen
That would
was
actually be pretty funny.
Donnie Yen was almost Bihan for me.
okay,
But I didn't know who I would have be the other Sub-Zero if I did that.
He is 62, by the way. He just turned 62.
He doesn't look it.
Okay,
Yeah.
for the also real quick, I realized I never actually said who I'd have play Shang Tsung earlier. I don't think I did. I picked Tony Leung, who played the Mandarin in Shang-Chi and is also a famous Hong Kong actor. So I think he would be an interesting one to cast across from uh Donnie Yen if you're going that approach if they were like the two Sub-Zeros.
I do have a side question. Am I the only one who wanted Keanu Reeves to be in this movie but have no idea how to justify it?
No, I had that same problem.
Like it would have to be Johnny Cage. Like that'd be the
No.
only way, but like I don't think he's a good fit for Johnny Cage.
It's like
What if
I wouldn't.
they insert him as a brand new character?
See, if we're gonna make a brand new character, just make him John Wick in the universe.
Like
Like,
literally just John Wick in the Mortal Kombat tournament.
one of the
Yes.
ideas I had would have been to have him be Stryker,
Okay.
but the other idea, just to be funny and stupid, was it wasn't so much to have Keanu Reeves be this character, but debating on how seriously Johnny Cage is handled. If you lean into the him being an actor thing before we show him doing any fighting, I was going to have mocap actually be in the movie just off of being Johnny's motion capture guy that he never bothers to learn the name of. So he just calls him mocap, and then the guy in the motion capture suit turns around and it's Keanu Reeves frowning.
So if we were going in the direction like the 95 one went, I think I think Keanu Reeves could have been Raiden. If you were going in that
Yeah.
direction, I feel like that's where you'd like long hair, beard, and everything. It's like, I don't think so. It's like that way.
He just steps out of the shadows crackling. Liu Kang, we have to protect Earthrealm. Come on.
Um, the last casting I did for Reptile, I threw in Mark Dacascos, who was the main antagonist in Parabellum, the third John Wick movie that he actually had to fight. Was that like Fang guy who's like, I'm a huge fan of your work and everything, who's
Uh,
like bald and everything.
Yeah.
I think he would be a good reptile because one, if you were going where he's just one of the like green tinted suit guy ninjas, or
mhm.
if you put a bunch of makeup on him and did like the different kind of reptile, like is in some of the games, I think that he has like the sleek, just bald head, no hair anywhere, and just play off that role well. But that was it. That's all the casting I did. Like, did you have extras?
I'll be seeing you, Hanzo. No, you won't.
Yes.
So, for like we already said Goro, but who I had for Frost, who is the ice using Lin Kuei woman that the second Sub-Zero trains. I have Sayori Izawa, who's a 31-year-old Japanese stunt woman.
Okay.
She looks like she has like the build to be that character. Like all they would have to do is just give her a short haircut, dye it blue, and put a mask on her lower face. That just is that character.
Boom. There you go.
I have like a whole list of people that I would have wanted to cast but couldn't think of anybody for. So
Quick
like
run
once we're
through.
done, yeah. I had a cast and reasons. I just could. Oh, here's the comb I dropped off my face. But yeah, we'll get back to that.
Dave, do you have any other extra casting?
One other actor from that was from the John Wick universe who again like I don't know where or like which character I'd cast him in, but I thought would be funny just to include somewhere would be Willem Dafoe.
Like I
Uh Willem Dafoe's Baraka.
damn. I would
He's already
totally
he's already
like
got the smile for it.
I think if you could find a place where he could voice a character because he has such a distinct voice, I
Yeah.
think that would be a lot of fun. like go full blown Green Goblin voice
Yeah.
as a character in the movie, I think that would be a lot of fun.
I wonder if maybe with that in mind, if he would be better for Havoc. Because
Okay.
Havoc's got that insane look about him. Havoc, that's the best part though. Havoc's not even one of the bad guys. He just looks like he would be.
So is Willem Dafoe. He
Yeah.
looks like you should be a bad guy
Like when I
in
was
this.
the amount of research I did for this, I looked up all of the characters in Mortal Kombat and all of their factions to try to figure this out. Which then I found out that Havoc and Cabal are like trying to do a reformed version of the Black Dragons that Kano is in because they don't like being evil like he is. So Havoc would be a good guy, but he don't look like it.
So I thought I had a fun idea. So who were characters that you would want to see pop up in this movie that are not Mortal Kombat characters, but you feel like would fit in a Mortal Kombat movie?
Ooh.
One, John Wick.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
So
Do we
John Wick, this is in John Wick universe. John Wick is part of Team Earth.
like they send John Wick to the tournament because they're like nobody here can kill him. If this doesn't work, I think we just gotta leave him alone.
There you go. Um, I threw out Pai Mei from Kill Bill because I want him in his giant Fu Manchu. Just like they need to, I'm like this movie or a future movie, they need to go off do this quest kind of thing and find this elder, and it's just him as pissy and sarcastic and mean cackling as he is in Kill Bill. I think that would be hilarious.
I don't know what Samuel L. Jackson character would make sense, but
He's got to
seeing
be
as
in it.
seeing as the way him aging worked is he got to like 47 and then stopped.
That's a good question. What Samuel L. Jackson character would I want to see in this? Oh my God.
Like I feel like the character of his that would make the most sense personality wise would be his character from Pulp Fiction. But in terms of ability to fight, it would have to be Mace Windu. Because none of the rest of his characters except for Shaft really do any fighting.
Oh my God. What if they did get Shaft to be in this?
Then he would probably call bullshit when he saw the first person get beheaded and just leave.
Like, I'm going back to Harlem. Bye.
Like if Earthrealm gets destroyed because I bailed on y'all, at least I'll be having champagne on the way out. Deuces.
Oh, oh my God. You know what would be hilarious and rest in peace? The green, the green and white ranger.
Jason David Frank.
Or just Jason David Frank playing himself. He's
Yeah.
just part of the team. Oh, he'd be so much fun to be in a be in a Mortal Kombat
The
movie.
funniest way to like if they had him be in the Mortal Kombat movie as a ranger is they recruit him thinking Tommy Oliver, the like martial arts person, he seems like he'd be good help at a martial arts tournament, and then he just takes out the morpher, and everyone's like, What is that?" And then he does the thing, and then everyone's like, "He's more than just a martial artist, isn't he?"
There you go. But I guess do either of you have anything else you wanted to add?
Let me pull up the list. So I did put somebody for Sonya Jackson Johnny. Couldn't think of somebody for Liu Kang. I wasn't sure if it would make sense to have Kung Lao because in the lore it makes sense to have Kung Lao, but Kung Lao wasn't a thing until the second game, and they didn't even really give him an explanation until like 3, 4 games later.
He's going to be in the sequel, and unlike the new movie, we're not going to kill him off in the first goddamn movie. That was such bullshit. I hated that so much. It's like you finally put him in a Mortal Kombat movie and you do him dirty like that.
I did actually have Cyrex and Sector,
Okay.
Cyrax and Sector because they're Lin Kuei people. They're
Mhm.
just the Lin Kuei who got turned into robots. But I was thinking
Robots.
instead of them being full-on robots, one had uh prosthetic arms and the other had prosthetic legs. And the arms and legs could do stuff, but they would be wearing gloves so that you didn't know that they could do stuff, rather than
Interesting.
just having them just be straight up obvious cyborgs. Almost like how the arm weapons work in the Cyberpunk 2077 game. Stuff like that is how I would have had Cyrax and Sector. I also, if I had gotten far enough, I did actually, rather than have it be Johnny Cage, would have wanted Nightwolf to be the champion of Earthrealm, because what better way to have the champion of Earthrealm than a Native American, right?
Nice.
I hadn't gotten to the point where I started trying to find someone for Nightwolf because first I had to cast like the main suspects.
Yep.
If Katana's
So,
going to be there, I wanted Jade and Melina to also be there
mhm.
because Melina is supposed to be Katana's sister and Jade's like Jade is like what Keira Knightley was to Padme's in Star Wars
Yep.
for Katana.
So my big sequel casting is bringing in Shao Kahn.
Mhm.
It's John Cena, and and he does his 5 moves of doom and everything. Yep.
I think an interesting handling of having Shao Kahn wouldn't be so much to like save him fully for the sequel. I would want him to have an appearance in the first one, but
Not
not doing anything.
not up in like the sky at the very end
Well,
to tease a sequel.
like in the first one, Shang Tsung is the one who's like watching over all the tournaments, but Shang Tsung works for Shao Kahn. So I think it would be interesting to have two thrones for Shao Kahn and Sindel, and then standing next to them is Shang Tsung, and all three of them
Mhm.
are watching the tournament. Because Shang Tsung may be the one running Mortal Kombat, but Shao Kahn is the one who cares about how the outcome goes. So
He's
they
got to
need
be
to
the
be there to see
Thanos.
it. So like
Thanos just sitting in his chair.
we have to have the people who are in charge of like, okay, we're the rulers of Outworld. We need to see the tournaments. Raiden's the elder god of Earthrealm. He also needs to see it. So just Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn, Sindel, Raiden in one spot watching the fights because they're not supposed to be a part of the fights because that'll like break the rules.
Hmm.
But then the sequel rolls around and it's like, you know what? We were about to take over Earthrealm, and this one time y'all stopped us. Fuck you.
Screw the rules. Screw the rules. We have money. Oh man. We would each make some fun choices here for Mortal Kombat. I Based off of the rumors, I am pretty excited about this second Mortal Kombat movie because that last one kind of left me lukewarm, where
Mhm.
I'm just like, you did some stuff that really made me mad. But like, I'm really hoping. Also, my one other note is this is going to be as practical as possible, all practical sets and stuff.
Mm.
I don't need a whole bunch of CGI like in the new one. No,
Yeah.
we're doing this. I will have at least a partially puppeted Goro in this movie.
Yeah, my only CGI was just sticking extra arms on Vin Diesel because I thought it would be funny.
Yep, there you go.
Because
But
that way, instead of having to have the puppetry arms, just CGI his own arms slightly further down his torso, so it's just Vin Diesel.
all Vin Diesel. Mike and Dave, thank you both for coming on and humoring me and having some fun talking about this Mortal Kombat movie.
Thanks as always. This was a
Uh,
lot of fun to talk about.
One last thing,
One more
Jack
thing.
Jackie Chan is Bo Raicho,
Jackie Chan should just be Jackie Chan representing Earthrealm.
Yeah.
but just imagine Jackie Chan, drunken fist and a fat suit, being Liu Kang's mentor,
It's,
because that's what Bo Raicho was—a drunken fist, fat Chinese dude that trained Liu Kang and Kung Lao.
that'd be a fun time. There would have to be flashbacks to being like him remembering his training.
It's
It's just
like
like Jackie Chan.
the new universe they had instead of Bo Raicho, it was Madame Bo, who was a martial art old woman who ran a tea house, and she's the one who trained Liu Kang and Kung Lao. Well, see, she trained Raiden and Kung Lao because in that universe, Raiden was Liu Kang and Liu Kang was Raiden. So either
Interesting.
or. I don't know who would play Madame Bo, but I was imagining Jackie Chan in a fat suit doing drunken fists for Bo Raicho.
Nice. As long as we don't have James Raymer and his buzz cut Raiden, I'll be happy. The less we talk about Annihilation, the better. Thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.
Finish him.